the father, husband, entrepreneur, just a movie maker, TV executive, just everything. Like just a business man, not a businessman, a businessman, as Jay-Z once said a long time ago. And LeBron James continues to prove that he seems to be playing the game of life at a different rate and at a different speed and in a different level than everybody else, right? So LeBron James of Forbes, Forbes is pretty legit. Forbes has come out and said LeBron James is scheduled to make $95 million in this year, $95 million over the year, and that will put him over the $1 billion threshold in career earnings. The $1 billion threshold in career earnings. You don't believe me? Let's just believe Forbes, because this Forbes seems to be doing this stuff a lot better than me. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to dive into LeBron James' career earnings and LeBron James touching $1 billion, essentially. Now, we got to remember, just because you touch $1 billion doesn't mean you're worth $1 billion. Your net worth and your career earnings are not the same. I think taxes are not withheld, but touching $1 billion while you're still currently active is something we really haven't seen. We haven't seen too many times, but I'll get into that. And so let's read. LeBron James is the NBA's top earning player for the 7th straight year, including off-court earnings. He's only been the highest paid player in the NBA one time, 2016 to 2017 season. So he's the highest paid player in the NBA while only being paid the highest salary in the NBA 1 year. He's expected to earn $95.4 million, including an estimated $64 million from endorsements, memorabilia, and media. It is a record haul for an NBA player and the highest ever in American team sports. And yeah, I remember team sports. We're going to talk about some individuals here, but team sports, the most ever for a guy who plays a team sport. The historic year will push his career earnings to $1 billion, including $700 million off the court. Think about that. $1 billion, but $700 million of those dollars have come not from an NBA team. Regardless of his NBA salary, $700 million by LeBron James. He joins Tiger Woods, Floyd Mayweather, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Lionel Messi to reaching 3 comma club while still being an active athlete. You got to remember, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are international guys. They're guys not from America. They're guys that aren't black. Like that plays a factor. They play as a global game in football, soccer as we call it. Tiger Woods and Floyd Mayweather are individuals. They don't play a team sport. Their success in their profession, the sport, isn't based on the team success. Tiger was the best to ever do it at his sport during his time, and Floyd was the best to ever do it at his sport during his time. So that is an accomplishment by itself for LeBron. So you're going against, international stars in soccer and 2 guys in America that play individual sports. That's how impressive this thing for LeBron has been. The 4-time MVPs, let's continue reading. This is from Forbes, by the way. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. The 4-time MVP salary with the Los Angeles Lakers for the 2021 season was set to be $39 million, but James and every other NBA player had to take a pay cut because of the pandemic, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. So, but if his salary would have stayed the same, it goes on to say, altogether, he would lose out on $8 million and a chance to enter the rarefied club of athletes who have earned $100 million or more in one single year. Think about that. If it wasn't for the pandemic and the cutting of salaries by all the NBA players across the board, LeBron James would have earned $100 million this year. The only other Americans to reach that peak as an active athlete, because we got Magic and Jordan, I think these guys have made that and retired. But the only guys to ever do it while active were Woods and Floyd. Tiger Woods and Floyd Mayweather. Let's keep reading. This goes into some other stuff. And LeBron James, I'm saying all this stuff. LeBron James is actively, and we'll go to, this shows all the guys and how much they make in the NBA. And we'll talk about LeBron. So LeBron is going to make $95 million this year, 31.4 from the salary from the Lakers, $64 million endorsements. That includes his production company, his TV company, his movie Space Jam, and then all his endorsements were like Pepsi and just Blaze Pizza and the cycling company. Like, he has a bicycle company that he endorses and that he owns stakes in. And obviously, remember he had the big vitamin water deal years ago. Like, this man is ridiculous. This man, LeBron James, is doing something. It seems like every day he's doing something we've never seen done before. And LeBron James, in that Forbes article touched on it a little bit. LeBron James has openly talked about wanting to become a billionaire. Like, he's openly talked about how he wants to be a billionaire, how he wants to own an NBA team, how he wants to be in this rarefied air that a lot of people don't talk about. And I think that's important because we know finances in our community isn't something that's really talked about because a lot of Black people don't have a lot of money. There's not very much wealth in the Black community outside of guys like LeBron James, who are incredible super athletes, right? Outside of like the athletes and rappers and entertainers, there's not a lot of wealth in the Black community. So it's not something we talk about. Because we don't have a lot of it, we don't really talk about it much. And that needs to change. That needs to change. Because once we start to have an open dialogue about money, about finances, about attaining wealth, then we will put the onus on ourselves and on our children moving forward to garner some sort of wealth. I'm not telling you you're going to become a billionaire like LeBron James. I'm not here to say that. But I am here to say that you can change your financial landscape by just having a conversation, by talking about the importance of having money. I've been talking about the importance of not being broke. Then talk about the importance of not living check to check. Well, let me not go too much off on a tangent because we're here to talk about LeBron James today, but that is something that's very crucial. We can take that from this LeBron James story. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about LeBron James. It's about us and seeing an accomplishment. Most of us are not going to be 6'9", 260, be able to run, jump, and shoot like LeBron James. But what we can do with our little checks that we get is talk to and save and invest and making money. And that's what LeBron James did. Think about that. LeBron James, and these are huge numbers and huge figures we're playing with. 300 million from basketball, 700 million off the basketball court. So these are like unfathomable numbers that we're dealing with LeBron James. But the way LeBron James was able to make his money is clearly wasn't from his job. It was from the fact that he was able to take the money from his job and invest it. People will pay him to use his name, and he owns parts of businesses. He owns companies. He owns all of these things. LeBron James may have just passed the $1 billion threshold and he can run, jump, and shoot. But there's a guy by the name of Maverick Carter, who is LeBron James's right-hand man, LeBron James's business partner, that's probably worth, last I checked, it was over $50 million. Maverick Carter ain't shooting no basketballs. Maverick Carter didn't even go to college. He didn't finish college. Maverick Carter didn't finish college. Now, yeah, it's good to have friends in high places like LeBron James, but Maverick Carter actually guided LeBron James and helped guide LeBron to this $1 billion empire that he has. And you want to know why Maverick was able to do that? Because he was invested, because he was smart, because he knew about wealth. He was a businessman. So we can take this LeBron James and how he's able to touch $1 billion before he's even done playing basketball. The man's able to touch $1 billion before he's ever done playing basketball. The only person in team sports that is active that was able to do that. It's because he was invested. He was invested in the stock market. He's invested in businesses. He has homes. He has real estate. He owns. He invests in startup companies like Blaze Pizza. That's the same thing you can do on a smaller scale. That is the exact same thing we can all do on a smaller scale. Yeah, we don't have $300 million to do it with, but you can do the exact same thing. That's why I find LeBron James so inspirational. That's why I love like almost pretty much everything LeBron James does, right? Like LeBron James almost cannot do any wrong. I mean, the man's been with the same woman since high school, married her, had children, started a family, did everything with the same woman since high school. There's been no scandals. There's been no anything. The biggest blemish on LeBron James's record is the fact that he left Cleveland in a decision that donated millions of dollars to the Boys and Girls Club. Yeah, that's the biggest hindrance against LeBron James. Besides the fact that I think he's the best basketball player to ever walk the planet, this man is just on his mind, his brain, the way he thinks is just on a totally different level. It's just on a totally different level. Yeah, guys like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan, they were able to figure it out post-playing career and make a whole bunch of money and become billionaires and hundreds of millionaires. LeBron James figured it out while he's still playing. And he's laid the blueprint out, and other guys have followed. Steph Curry. LeBron James was the first active NBA player to start a production company. LeBron James was the first active NBA player to really be involved in investing in things like Beats by Dre, Blaze Pizza, the cycling company, More Than an Athlete. And then other guys followed. Steph Curry now has a production company. Kevin Durant now has a production company. Kevin Durant is now involved in Silicon Valley, or when he got with the Warriors, started being involved in Silicon Valley and making these great investments. Kevin Durant's investment in Postmates actually just made him $15 million, right? Kevin Durant invested in Postmates when he was playing with the Warriors, which is out in Silicon Valley. He invested $1 million in Postmates. It net returned $14 million because Postmates was bought out by Uber Eats or whatever, and Kevin Durant got paid off that. These same type, not at the, once again, not on the large scale, but these are same type of investments we can make with our pennies, with our, compared to what they have. It's all applicable. It all applies the same. And that's another way LeBron James is inspiring not just me, but people across the world. I mean, it is incredible what he continues to do. He continues to level up and boss up every single time. And that's what we're here to do on this platform. This is the Black Boss Channel, and this is the way to boss up. Use LeBron James as an example. It's crazy to see that he continues to outshine himself every step of the way. So shout out to LeBron and shout out to you, because I know you're going to go out and boss up and level up just like LeBron is continuing to do. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsey Jr. with the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell. I will see you guys next time. And follow me on Instagram at JLightsey7.